Hey everybody, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. Today is December 3rd, 2015, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and this is our training webinar after the holiday break. So I see that there's a couple questions already on the events page. I'm going to switch over to grab the screen here in just a moment. If you guys have any questions, please post them directly on the events page. You got a couple things I want to cover, some changes to my own strategy going forward because of some things that happened. I want to discuss that briefly. And then after that, we'll get into the questions and wrap it up once the questions run out. So let me grab the screen. By the way, I hope everyone in the States had a good Thanksgiving holiday. And you guys should be seeing my screen now in one moment. Let me get everything straight. Okay, cool. All right, so what I want to talk about is, first is, let me get off there, we'll come over here, is there's a spam comment. I wonder what the spam comment is. That's interesting. Anyways, I'm sorry, I got distracted. So what I wanted to talk about was, I've been using the Google Search Console, which is essentially Webmaster Tools, for adding my sites to them. I don't do them all under one account. I've said over and over and over again that if you're going to use it, that you shouldn't have everything under one account, because if Google decides that one of your sites is a spam site and they want to de-index it, they could come in and de-index all of your sites if they're under the same account. And so I've always said to spread your eggs across multiple baskets and use different Google accounts. Well, I've never had any issues with any of my sites being de-indexed. I haven't actually, none of my sites had been de-indexed, but in the last week or so, I had several of them de-indexed. And I actually, because I do have them connected to Search Console, I received notifications that they were pure spam sites, and so that they were removed from the index. And so, the only thing that I could see that caused that was, there was a couple things. Number one, and this is what I want to talk about, because I'm going to change my strategy up too. And I'm going to tell you guys what my strategy is going to be going forward, just so you understand, because it's going to change slightly how I do the training here on a weekly basis. All right. So I've said also many times that the data that I've been able to view or pull back from having my sites connected to Search Console, to me, is almost as valuable as the traffic it produces. And I stand by that statement, because I'm able to uncover so much detail about where traffic is coming from, what I call low-hanging fruit, where there are pockets of traffic or areas within the country, if I'm doing nationwide builds or even statewide builds, where there are areas within the states that I can rank for various terms. I use the ATM site builds for keyword discovery, because, yeah, we can use keyword tools all day long, but there's actually traffic that comes in from keywords that none of the tools will actually show. And using Search Console, I've been able to identify keyword phrases that get searched that I haven't been able to find anywhere else. So I like to use it for discovery as well. And then once I do, find out those uncover new keyword phrases, then I build sites around those, and I've been really successful with those. So I'm a bit heartbroken that I've had some issues in the last week, and I had a pretty good number of my sites de-indexed, and I attribute it to I think a couple things. One, these webinars are public. The ATM webinars are public. I also use the ATM for my semantic mastery training, but those are premium webinars that are only for paid subscribers. The ones that I do here, and I've shared some of my most recent projects on the public webinars, those are public. So if anybody was ever looking and they wanted to, they could, report the sites, or if a Google employee was looking at my site specifically, they could just go in and say, oh, these are pure spam sites, de-index them. I don't know that that's the case. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I've had, many sites de-indexed, and it was only the sites that I have been sharing publicly that got de-indexed. So for that reason, I'm going to limit the amount of stuff that I share in a public setting from now on, and it's only to protect my own time and time investment. Okay, because again, I lost several of my sites from two different niches: the model trains industry, as well as the keto VIP, the ketogenic diet sites. All the ones that I shared publicly got de-indexed, and that's it. All my other sites are fine. So That's my assumption, but I can't, I can't swear to it. So that said, I have to change my strategy up a bit. The other thing is, what pisses me off is one of my sites that I was doing, and I've said this many times, guys, to you guys as students or Lead Gadget members, not to use the WP overlayer with a money site URL. In other words, you don't want to lay a money site URL on top of any of your ATM sites, because it's called cloaking, and it's in violations of Google's terms of service. And I've been saying that since day one. If you're going to use the WP overlayer, create a separate landing page, okay, and not on your money site domain. And if you're going to do it on your money site domain, I recommend you do it on a subdomain so that you're protecting the root domain of the money site, okay? And so this could be client sites, it could be, whatever it is that you're using for the WP overlayer. Just make sure it's not a money site. Build a separate landing page. The separate landing page could be on a throwaway domain, an XYZ domain, right? That you could put WordPress on it, or you could use something like ClickFunnels, which is what I like, or Lead Pages or whatever, and build a separate landing page and use that landing page URL as your overlay that has a call to action, one strong call to action, which is to either submit a contact form, make a phone call, or click a button, which will take them over to the money site. Okay, so you use it as, it's essentially a bridge page. It would be bridging the ATM sites to the money sites without the money site actually physically being connected to the ATM via overlay. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. And I've been saying that and saying that. Well, in my ketogenic diet sites that I started building out, I built out a money site on ketovip.com. And because it was the holidays and I was in a rush, I overlaid that money site, Keto VIP, on top of .com, on top of several of the ketogenic diet sites that I was covering or targeting that with the ATM. And I got my damn money site de-indexed. Okay, I got the notification inside of Search Console that I was violating Google's terms of service for cloaking, so they de-indexed it, which pisses me off because it was a great domain for that brand that I'm trying to build. So I learned my lesson. I've been saying I didn't take my own medicine is what I'm saying. And it's just because I was in a hurry because of the holidays. That's an excuse, and it's my own damn fault that I lost that site. So I can't blame anybody but myself. So I'm just telling you guys, do not use your money sites to overlay on top of any of your ATM sites. Make sure you're using a completely different URL. Use a throwaway domain, or if you're going to do it on your own money domain, which again, I highly do not recommend that you do it on a subdomain, because at least then if your subdomain gets de-indexed, there's a chance that your root domain will still be protected, but I still wouldn't recommend that either. Okay. I wouldn't want to tie that cloaking to the money site in any physical manner. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense if you guys are clear on that. So my new strategy going forward is to add, whenever I'm going after a new target or a new market, a new set of keywords, new industry, whatever, I will build one site that I will connect as a test site that I will connect to Search Console using a persona Google account, not my own not my main account, of course, but using basically a persona account that I've set up. And I'll use that as a test site that will be connected to Search Console, so I can identify, I can gather data. Okay, I can see whether it's performing well, if the impressions and the clicks are going up, the traffic that's coming in, like what keywords we're coming in on, the areas that it's ranking well. And if it starts to perform well, that one test site, then I know, and that's a way to test the content and everything else. But if I know that it's performing well, then I can go ahead and duplicate that site across multiple domains that I do not attach to Search Console, and I can expect that at least a percentage of those additional sites are going to perform similarly. If the test site does not perform well, then I'll scrap it, bomb it, delete it, whatever, and build out another site on another domain or another subdomain of that test domain with a different setup, a different content setup, and then test that one. And so essentially what I'm saying is, if I want to go build 15 sites in a particular industry, then I'll end up only having one test site that I'll use as my discovery site. And then all the other sites, unfortunately, I won't have all the data on all the other sites like I've grown accustomed to, but at least I will protect them from being potentially de-indexed. Okay. Doesn't mean that they can't be de-indexed. It just creates less of a chance. Okay. So that said, I also want to mention another thing. And this is something that I need to talk to Dawn with. And I know we've got a webinar tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time for the Ring Partner stuff. And I'm going to probably talk to Dawn about this as well. But guys, did you know that inside of WordPress, whenever you install WordPress straight out of the box, or it's coded into WordPress now, let's put it that way, there is a Google Fonts script in the header. So it's a Google Font script that's in the header. So even if you don't connect to Search Console, guys, you're sharing data from your sites with Google. There's it through that script. Okay, so one of the very first things I'm doing now, and again, I haven't pinpointed exactly what caused my sites to be de-indexed yet, and I don't know that I ever will. If I do find out, I'll certainly let you guys know. But one of the first things that you can do, and what I'm doing now, is as soon as my site is deployed and I go log in to do the cleanup, before I even set the permalinks up correctly, I'll go to plugins and I'll add a plugin called Remove Google Fonts References. Okay, and let me pull it up real quick for you. Remove Google Fonts References plugin. All right, so this is it here. It's just a simple plugin. And you can find it in the Google, the WordPress plugin repository. So when you go to, as soon as you log into your site, at least this is what I'm doing. You guys do whatever you want, but what I'm doing is the moment that I log in to do the cleanup after a site's deployed, is I'm going to plugins, add new, and then I search for remove Google Fonts references, and it'll come up. It'll be the first one in the top left corner, and then I click on install and activate, and that's it. There are no settings. There's nothing that you can adjust or modify. It's just you install the plugin and you activate it. And what that does is it removes the script from the header that has the Google Fonts API in it or whatever. So essentially it will remove that ability for Google to see it. And the reason why is because if you're logging into your sites from the same IP, every single time you log into one of your WordPress sites with the Google Font script in it, and again, that's by default, it's there, you're pinging Google with your IP. And so I don't want to get in the habit of signing into these sites from the same IP, so that it creates basically a map back to, me as a single user with all these sites out there. So granted, you still have to log in the first time. So unless you're logging in through a proxy or a VPN, it's still going to identify your IP as the first login. But if you remove it immediately, there won't be a pattern there, at least with the same site, because Google's prying eyes won't see that activity after that first login, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, also, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you're using Chrome, Google knows exactly what you're doing anyways. And if you're using Firefox and you've got Google as your actual search set as your default search engine in Firefox, they're seeing your activity too. So I always recommend that you switch your search and to use Firefox for SEO stuff. That's what I always do. I always use Firefox for SEO stuff. And then I have my default search engine inside of Firefox switched to something else, Yahoo, Bing, I don't care what it is, just take it off of Google. Okay. So just keep that in mind, guys. I've never really been all that, because I never had any of my sites de-indexed before, for ATM sites. I really just didn't care about using Google products for the sites. But now that I had a pretty good, number of them de-indexed in the last week or so, I'm a little bit gun shy. And because of that, I said, I'm going to go ahead and switch up my strategy a bit to kind of protect my sites, because it sucks when you got sites that are producing traffic and all of a sudden the traffic completely disappears because they got de-indexed. And again, so I'm going to start reducing my exposure to that by doing this, by setting up just one test site, which I will, again, connect to Google Search Console using a persona account so that I keep them separate still. And then I'll use that as my discovery site and basically a research site. And then once the site is performing well, then I'll go ahead and duplicate that site across multiple domains, targeting the same keywords or the same set of keywords with the same content. All right. And if it doesn't perform well, then I'll bomb it, delete it, and then add a new build a new one with a new piece of content or a new configuration on a new subdomain of the throwaway domain. And again, that's what XYZ domains are perfect for that kind of stuff. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, talk to you about, some of the strategies. Unfortunately, I'm not going to share, I'm not going to open up a bunch of my sites now to show you guys traffic data and all that, because first of all, most of those sites have all been de-indexed, all the ones that I shared publicly were. And second of all, like I said, I'm not going to be going that route anymore. So, you know, we can talk about, and I don't even know that I'm going to be able to share test sites. I guess I can in certain industries, but, you know, we'll talk about that. So this is going to be reverting to more Q&A. And also, if there's any specific, you know, strategies that you guys want additional training on that I can prepare going forward, then I'd be happy to do that as well. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on to questions. Oh yeah, Guy, I do. I see that. We're going to talk about Power Suggest Pro here in just a minute and a couple of these other questions. But to answer your question, Guy, yes. For Power Suggest Pro, by the way, if you guys want to see some keyword research outside of Power Suggest Pro, we're going to go over that today, Power Suggest Pro. But I've got an affiliate site that I set up. It's for keyword tools, and because there's two keyword tools that I use religiously. Power Suggest is by far, hands down, my favorite keyword tool of all time. Okay, and so I use that one daily. It's always open in my my system or my taskbar because I use it like all the time. Then there's another tool called Rank Spy that it's pretty good too. Let me pull up this site, guys. You don't have to opt into my list, but I'm not going to send you to the landing page. I'm just going to send you directly to the training site. Okay, so this is called this is where I've got several videos I did on how to use how I do keyword research using free tools, and then obviously I talk about how I use Power Suggest Pro, and then the other one called Rank Spy, those two keyword tools. And there's a lot of videos here, a lot of training videos on how I do it, and then there's also case studies in another tab. So let me post this on here. If you guys want to take a look at this, by all means, keyword training. All right, I'm posting that on the events page, Guy. And on that training page, you know, again, you feel free to watch those videos. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you want to buy Power Suggest Pro, if you just click on the banner, it'll take you over to there where you can purchase it. It's only like $67 or something like that. It's one-time fee, very, very inexpensive, and probably my favorite. Not probably, it is my favorite keyword tool of all time. The other one is called Rank Spy. That's got a monthly expense. I think it's $37 a month. It's great though for finding really low competition keywords. It takes a while to run, but it's great, especially if you're doing like video SEO and stuff like that. I think it's a really, really good tool. So I use that also. Not as much as Power Suggest Pro though. So anyways, you can check those out, guys. That's a pretty good resource for you. Let me make sure you guys are all seeing my screen. Okay. Excuse me. All right. Let me answer this question. I'll start going through from the bottom up. All right. Emmanuel says, and on the 8th of October webinar, you demonstrate on Text Mechanic how to combine a list of keywords and a list of locations. However, a bit later in the webinar, you talk about combining a list of keywords, a list of locations, and a list of counties. Can you demonstrate how to do that with 3 elements? Keyword 1 to 25 locations, 1 to 25 counties, and 1 to 5 or counties 1 to 5, for example. Okay, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Keywords 1 to 25, locations 1 to 25, and counties 1 to 5. All right, yeah, let's walk through that. Let me open up a new Excel file, and what we'll do is we'll say, let's do this. We'll do keyword 1. We're gonna make this out. We'll say we'll go 25 by 25 and then 5, just like you said. So let's bring this out. We're going to say location. So I'm going to say LOC1. Oops. Whoops. Got one more than I needed. All right. And then what we'll do is come on, what's this thing doing? It's being weird. Anyways, and then we'll have the 5 counties. Now, it's been a few minutes since I've done this, a couple months since I've done this one. But let's go over to right here. All right, so the delimiter would be, it doesn't really matter here. We can put a tab in there actually. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to use a tab there, and the reason why is because once I copy the resulting data out of here, I want to be able to paste it back into the spreadsheet, and it will separate by column that way. So I put just a tab delimiter in there. Okay, so we're going to come back over here. We'll grab keyword 1 to keyword 25. Whoops, what the hell? This swear this isn't working for me. Let me try a new Excel file because there's something wrong with this one. It's not working. Yeah, Excel stopped working on me, guys. You have to give me a minute. Yeah, it's fine. I'll use Google if I have to. Damn it. Just give me a second. Let me start a new one. Excel crashed, so all right. All right, sorry about that. Let's try that again. All right, so we're going to take keyword 1 through 25, copy that, take it over to Text Mechanic, paste it in. Then we're going to take location 1 to 25. Paste it in. Now, I can't remember, you have to bear with me, but I can't remember if we add another delimiter here in the 5 counties, if the data will come out correct. I can't remember, so let's test it first. Well, let's look at this one first, and then we can add that as a next combination. So I want to clear this, and if we hit, you see it says 625 combinations will be generated, and now that's just going to be keywords mapped to the locations. So if I say generate combinations, and we copy all this, so I'll do Control A, and then Control C. We'll open up a new tab over here, and I'll paste it in so you can see what I'm talking about. You'll see now that we've got keyword 1 goes all the way down to location 25. Then keyword 2 begins again and goes all the way down to location 25. See that? So that worked just the way that we wanted it to. So what I've done in the past, and we'll try it here again in a minute in Text Mechanic, because I can't remember if we can do 3 columns at the same time. We'll test that in just a second. But what I've done in the past was county 1, and then unfortunately just done this, because remember the site builds can't be too big. Excuse me, it's supposed to be county 1 all the way down there, so it's not supposed to be a sequence. Let's try that again. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Okay, and then I would just do it again. Say county 2, right? Make sure that I'm not creating a sequence. And then I would just do that manually. And I know that sucks. So I know there's a way. I know there's a way that I did it. It's been a couple months again, but that I did all 3, but I can't remember how I did it exactly. So let's just play with that for a minute. So we'll do county 1 through county 5. And we need to add the delimiter in there, which is going to be this tab. Paste that in. Let's see if we clear that. And then let's see, it says 3,125 combinations generated. That seems right to me. So let's try it and see what happens. Nope, that didn't work. Because see, that's going to repeat. Well, maybe it did. Let's copy it all and take a look at it in the spreadsheet. That might have worked. We'll see. So I just played with it, by the way. Just to answer your question, I just played with it until I figured it out. And I think this was it, but I can't sort it yet. Keyword 1, location 1, keyword 1, location 2, county 1 through 5, keyword 1, location 3, county 1 through 5. So I think that worked. As far as setting up the custom list, though, I think I did it the way that I showed you over here. Okay. You might even be able to do that by sorting these differently. I don't know. I'd have to play with it. Maybe sort by county. I'm not sure how we would do that either. Location one. So let's see if we sort by this. Anyways, just play with it. I can't remember exactly how I do it. I'd have to go back through my site build text files, because I always keep notes on every site build that I do in a text file, and I'd have to bring those up and take a look at my notes to see exactly how I did it. But I know that this is how I started doing it. Was just I would set up the first two sets of data, which would be keywords and cities, and I would create the combinations using this tool, and then I would go back and manually add the counties in for the other custom list, and I would do that. And it was kind of a pain in the ass, but I did it that way. And then I know that I figured out how to do it properly using a tool, and I think it was Text Mechanic. I just can't remember exactly how I do it without looking at the notes. So I'll put that on, make a note of that for next week, and we'll cover that again next week. But that's how you can do it. So hopefully that was helpful. In the same webinar about Ring Partner's list of campaigns, you talk about the Spanish campaign, tax relief. I tried to build a site in Spanish, but I could never get the accents to display correctly. I'm very interested in building sites in other languages, but until now, I'm unable to do that because of the accent issue. Did you try that? If yes, did the accents display correctly in your content? No, I didn't try it, Emmanuel. To be honest with you, I'd like to, but I just haven't had time to play with any kind of foreign language stuff yet. And so I don't know. And I would probably ask Dawn about that to find out if accents can display properly. There's a chance that I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but if you've copied text from even a notepad file, if you don't have the encoding set properly, it will cause like crazy characters for apostrophes and stuff like that. And so you have to make sure that you're using specific, like I'm using Notepad++ now. I used to just use regular notepad files, and I've had some issues with some site builds. And so I think, or if you have it like UTF-8 or something encoding, it won't do that. So I'm suspecting that the accents issues is what you're talking about. And in that case, you just have to ask Dawn if that's something that can be done, and if so, how, because I don't know how to do it yet. I haven't done that, to be honest with you. So, all right. Ray says, can you show us how to find keywords for Ring Partner offers using Power Suggest Pro? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just like any other kind of keyword research. And again, if you guys want to go to training.keywordsuggest.co, you'll see how I find keywords, but specifically for your question in Ring Partner sites. Yeah, like we'll just do walk-in tubs, right? So if we say walk-in tubs, whoops, just type in walk-in tubs, and then I've got it set to Google. For suffix, I always have it set from A to Z. You can go AA to ZZ. Oftentimes that just produces too many keywords, so I don't usually do that. Recursive search, guys. Recursive means, and let me just demonstrate this in case you're not aware. If we go over to Google and we say walk-in tubs, and then you press A, you'll see that it's giving us 4 suggested keyword phrases with A. If you go B, then it brings up this, right? So the Power Suggest Pro will go A through Z and collect all of the keywords that are produced in suggest, or the suggested search autocomplete. But what recursive does is recursive will then go back through from the list that it's created and do another one level deeper. For example, walk-in tubs Baton Rouge, then dash or space A, and if nothing comes up, then it goes back to space B, space C, space D, and it'll go all the way through that until it finds, and if there's any additional keywords that come up, it will pull those out as well. Okay, so if that makes sense, let's go back and just see if we can find an example that will produce a result. Try walk-in tubs Amazon, see if anything comes up. Yeah, okay, so walk-in tubs Amazon, and then I just press space B, and it brings back some additional keywords that it can pull into that search phrase. So walk-in tubs, if I click search, you'll see how quickly it starts to pull keywords down, and it's pulling 10 suggested phrases for each one of these keyword term, or the seed term plus A, B, C, D, and then once it gets down to recursive, that's where you'll see it down here. And that's why you can see how it's generating a list of keywords over here. And it does it really, really quickly. And these are all search phrases that people search in, are actually typing in the search, or else they wouldn't show up in suggest, right? That's why this is a superior keyword tool to even Google Keyword Planner, because Google Keyword Planner is an AdWords tool. It's for pay-per-click advertising. It's not an SEO keyword tool. So there's a lot of keyword phrases that Power Suggest will reveal that Keyword Planner does not, because it's a different tool. It's a different set of data. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So that's why this is probably my favorite tool, because you can find some of these long tail phrases here, guys, that have traffic. There's just no question there's traffic there, or they wouldn't be in Suggest. And some of the phrases, I mean, sometimes you'll pull phrases out of here that are like literally like 8 words long. Well, that's fantastic if you know that, because who else is optimizing for that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? So as far as Ring Partner, like I just started looking through here, and what I do is, for example, I'm going to go ahead and stop this because it's already, I'd let it complete, but we've got 401 keywords here. So I'd copy all the keywords, just press the button, copy all. And I come back over to my spreadsheet, because I always have a spreadsheet open for keywords as well. Let's just open up a new tab. I paste them in, and then I go through here. It's a bit of a manual process. Unfortunately, keyword research can only be automated to a point, and then it requires manual input. And I typically will spend about 2 hours on keyword research. No kidding. I'll get an idea very, very quickly from using Power Suggest Pro if it's a market that I want to go after, or but if I decide that I am going to start building on a particular set of keywords, then I have to go through and clean these out. And then I'll drill down on other keywords to see if I can find additional. What I mean by drill down is, well, I'll try to explain it in a minute. But going through here, like I would just walk through and get rid of any phrases that wouldn't make sense for a US national site build, if that's what I'm doing, right? Or a statewide build, if I'm just doing a statewide build, right? So for example, American Standard walk and tells, well, first of all, based on Ring Partners terms of service, you're not supposed to be using other people's brand terms in any search terms to promote Ring Partner sites. I don't know if you can get away with it, but it says specifically that you're not supposed to. And they even mention a couple of them, like, oh shit, I don't know. They Jacuzzi is one of them that they mentioned that we're not supposed to use in our search terms or anything like that. So you should delete those right off the bat. Okay. So like I would go right through here, highlight all those and just click delete and get rid of those. Okay. Kohler, American Standard, those are all brand terms. I don't know that those are kosher. They weren't specifically listed in the terms of service like Jacuzzi was, but they're still brand terms. So I would be a little bit hesitant, because you don't want to get your Ring Partner account shut down for violation of terms of service, right? So I would probably just go through here and delete these. Anything like that, you know, walk through them, like walk-in bathtubs, small spaces, walk-in bathtubs for senior reviews, walk-in bathtubs for senior prices. These are all great keyword phrases, because they're, you know, they're rather long, and you just add the geographic modifier to them, you know, city plus state, whatever. All right. So that's all I do, guys. It's not like, now, for example, since I'm going to be using the ATM to build the site, and it's going to auto add through my custom lists, the geographic modifier, I'm going to get rid of any keyword phrases that have a geo modifier already attached to them. Okay. Unless it's very broad, like walk-in bathtubs USA or something like that. Because then I don't mind if it's walk-in bathtubs USA, Knoxville, Tennessee, because the custom list adds that geo modifier. Hopefully that makes sense. But like walk-in bathtubs Ireland, that's not something I care about, because I'm not selling to an Ireland market, right? So I would get rid of that. So I would go right through here, and I could delete this little batch of sites from here, or excuse me, keywords from here to here. Let's see, we'll come down to here. I could just get rid of that. All right. And so what I do is I go through all the keywords and narrow it down to just the seed set of keyword phrases that I know that I would make sense, would be logical. And then that's what I'll start building my custom list on. Okay. And if you're going to try this method, like I've done for the statewide builds, you really got to narrow the keyword list down to, you know, just a handful. Because I've done, you know, several statewide builds. I think the first one I did was in Tennessee. And I think I had 200 keywords. And then with all the cities inside of Tennessee, it came out to be like 150,000 post build. And that was rather large. I got I got a message from Dawn. What are you doing, man? So it still worked, but I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you try to get your keywords down to just, you know, a handful, 20, 25, 30 keywords or something like that, so that the site builds don't become too large. And you got to do it on a state-by-state basis then, if you're going to do it that way, because if you try to do that on a national build, well, let's pull this up and we'll just take a look at that. If you were trying to do 25 keyword phrases times 30,000 posts for a typical site, that would be 750,000 posts. They won't build. Your site build would time out. The ATM would time out on it and it would reset it. So you don't want to do that. So for example, I think if we had, I can't remember, guys, it's been a little while, but I think there was like 960 cities in Tennessee, or maybe it was New Jersey. I don't remember which one it was, but I ended up having like 200 keywords originally. Whoops, let's clear that one out. Yeah, and it was way too big. So I narrowed it down and I got it down to about 150,000 posts. And I went ahead and said, let's try it. And I hit the button, the deploy button, hoping that it wouldn't blow up on me. And it did go through, but it took a while. And I got that message from Dawn like, hey, man, what are you doing? So just be aware of that. All right. So Ray, just to answer your question, I mean, that's how I do it. It's very, I mean, you see how quick that was. Like going through and cleaning the list, that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. As far as how do I find keywords, that's it. I just plug in keywords for, and then if you go through this training here, by the way, you know, I teach you how to use Google Trends. If you're not familiar with trends, we'll go through that again very briefly. That's one of my favorite tools to get ideas, especially if I'm doing more targeted, like geographic builds. So for example, there's a couple, let's just put in walk-in tubs here, and let's do walk-in bathtubs, because that would have been my first thought, was walk-in bathtubs, right? So if we come over to Google Trends, it's just google.com/trends, guys. You'll see that it's going to start bringing up historic search data for the last 10 years, and then it will show you interest levels and everything else. But right now I have this set on worldwide. I want to come over here and switch this to just United States, obviously, if I'm just doing a US site build. So I'm going to click on United States, and this is going to show me historical data for the last 10 years across the United States, and it's going to show me the there's a couple different options here, but this is going to show Florida, Texas, California, New York are the spots that search that term, have the highest search interest for that particular phrase. Okay. And then what's interesting is coming down here, it gives you related terms. This is the top related terms historically. Okay. So over the past 10 years, because that's what I have the time limit set for, you can change that up here, but it's showing keywords, related keywords that are historically related. In other words, these have been related to the seed term for a period of time. They consistently come up as related phrases. What I like over here is rising. If you look at rising, rising will show keyword phrases that have had a significant increase in search interest since the last time they reevaluated the data. Okay, so that's why I like this, because that's why it's called trends, because you can see trends and you can identify trends with this tool and find keywords that are starting to take off in popularity, or all of a sudden have become more popular for some reason, and take advantage of that by building out and optimizing for those terms. So what I like about this is if you look at walk-in bathtubs, let's go back over to top, you'll see walk-in tubs is showing as, and guys, this doesn't give you search volume. It shows you a interest level on a scale of 1 to 100. Okay. And I talk about it in the training, so I'm not going to go into it too deep, but anyways, this one shows walk-in tubs is related 100% of the time, similarly to walk-in bathtubs. So watch this. If we go over here and type in walk-in tubs, now it's going to compare the two together, and look at this. Walk-in tubs has got much higher search interest than walk-in bathtubs. So that's why I started optimizing for walk-in tubs, because you can see there's a lot more search interest for that. And you can do this for up to 5 terms, compare 5 terms across this, and they'll create this little chart for you. All right. And what's interesting is look at the walk-in tubs. There's some pretty wild swings here, but you can see that the trend is going up for walk-in tubs and the trend is going down for walk-in bathtubs. So which keywords should you be optimizing for? Right. So that's why I like this tool. Then you can come over here, and like I said, this is showing regional interest, walk-in tubs, and this will show, it will only show the top 10 if and that's it. It doesn't show beyond the top 10. But if you click on the different keywords, it'll show the difference in geographic area or regional interest. And then if you take a look right here, there's a couple different buttons. Sub-region is going to show basically a statewide search interest based on the state. If you look at metro, metro is going to be metropolitan areas. And then if you look at city, so what I meant by that is like regions, like Raleigh, Durham, Dallas, Fort Worth. Those are the metro areas. And then if you look at city, this will drill down and narrow it down to the top cities for that keyword phrase. In this case, we're looking at walk-in tubs. Look at city, and this is showing Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles, and New York as the top cities that have this highest percentage of search interest for that particular phrase. Okay, so this is where you can find out places to target, right? So for example, if we go back to subregion, you'll see North Carolina, Indiana. I learned through this, you guys, the first site that I did in walk-in tubs was for Tennessee. I also did Missouri. I also did North Carolina. The reason why is because this data right here told me that these were I did statewide builds, and trends told me that these were the states that had the highest search interest for that phrase. Does that make sense? So I hope you guys get that. And then once you've determined the areas, like I said, you can come back through here and identify keyword phrases that are related based on historical relation, and also newly rising terms. Again, significant increase in search interest. All right. So these are all keyword phrases that you can use to then go over to Power Suggest and plug them in and hit search and see what other kind of thing that they. So for example, this one's showing walk-in showers right here. So let's take a look at this. This is what I was talking about earlier about drilling down in the keywords. So if I go to walk-in showers and I click search, now take a look at this, guys. This is a whole nother list of keywords that you could potentially target for walk-in bathtubs too, right? I don't know if the walk-in bathtub provider from Ring Partners also does walk-in showers, but it's possible. And if they do, couldn't you optimize for these keyword phrases as well and drive traffic back into that same funnel, right? So if you guys get that, hopefully you do that. There's a lot of, look at that. I mean, very quickly, that was running about 15 seconds and I got 275 keywords. If I would have let it run to it's fully completed, it might pull back 1,500 keywords. Does that make sense? So hopefully you guys get that. Trends is always my very first stop in keyword research. I start here at trends. Then I go from trends to Power Suggest. Then I oftentimes will, after I've gathered my keywords from Power Suggest, I'll go over to the Google Keyword Planner and I'll enter my Power Suggest terms into the Keyword Planner just to see if there's traffic data on them, which again, it's not reliable traffic data, but it gives me just a benchmark, a point of reference. If there's no data on it, I don't care. I still optimize for these terms. I just like to know if there is any, I like to take a glance at it. And then obviously if I want to get really granular, then I start working on the I use Rank Spy. Rank Spy takes forever for it to complete a keyword analysis. So I only do that if I've got something really hot that I'm trying to target, pinpoint. Like I said, I do that more for like video SEO and stuff. So hopefully that was clear. Okay, so Power Suggest Pro, you got my affiliate link. I'd be happy if you purchase through that. The keto offer, yeah, Guy Baker. The new site that because my other one got de-indexed. It's now on teamketovip.com. It's teamketovip.com. That's my front-facing site now for that. Let's go take a look at that real quick. It sucks. I'm still using the Keto VIP brand, but I just had to add team to the domain because I got the first one, my original money site de-indexed. So if anybody's interested in also promoting this supplement product, the ketogenic diet, there's a lot of information. I mean, it's kind of it's a good niche for ATM site builds because there's not a whole lot of competition in it yet. But if you're going to do it, just click on that yellow button right there, and it'll take you over to my partner site for Prove It. They make the supplement for that. And then if you go to buy now, you don't have to purchase any of it, but this is where you sign up to be a promoter. You click on buy now, and then on the purchase page, and look how much this is, guys. It's $389 for a month's supply if you're going to be promoting it. What I'm saying is it's not cheap, and people spend money on this stuff. Okay. So it's a good product because they pay out a fairly good commission rate too. I don't know what it is exactly yet, but anyways, click on the buy now button and you come over here where it says register as a promoter for free, right? You just click on that and that'll bring up a screen where you can sign up to be a promoter, and it doesn't cost you any money. So if you want to purchase the product, awesome. That's awesome because I'll get a commission from it. I'm actually using the product. I'm paying for it. It's a good product. I'm losing weight from it. It's pretty cool. So, but I signed up to be a promoter, and if you want to sign up to be a promoter, by all means, please do it through my link. That's all I ask. I won't make any money unless you sell stuff. So anyways, let's go to the next question. Where am I? Ray had a bunch of sites de-indexed in the last 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, unfortunately, Ray, that sucks. That sucks, man. You know, I mean, but that's it's cat and mouse, man. That's what we do. So the only thing you can do is try to try to mitigate the risks, limit your exposure as much as possible. I never had an issue before until the last, like I said, it's been about 2 weeks, I guess. And now all of a sudden I'm like really gun shy about it. I'm pretty nervous. It just sucks. It is what it is, though. You know, take advantage of them. Take advantage of using the sites while the traffic lasts. And if it gets de-indexed, then, you know, have another domain ready. By the way, that's why I recommend always doing this, guys, on subdomains. I know we've had this discussion in the Facebook group, and you guys do it any way you want. Everybody has their own particular methods, but I do them on subdomains because if a subdomain gets de-indexed, it doesn't mean the root gets de-indexed. So you can oftentimes still use the same domain, just have to put another subdomain on it. Okay. And so that way it reduces your expenses on having to continue to buy new domains every time something gets de-indexed. That's just my 2 cents. So should we use Firefox as a different browser and a different browser for ATM work? Well, I use Firefox for all my SEO work. Like I'm always logged into Chrome as myself as, you know, Bradley Benner. So I'm always in my email accounts and Facebook and Google Plus and everything, YouTube and everything else in my main Chrome and in Chrome, because that's where I am logged in as myself. But I always do all SEO work in Firefox. And I make sure that my browser is clean all the time, guys. You go up to history, clear recent history, make sure you have browsing and download history checked, cookies, cache, active logins. And then I clear that so that it clears everything out. And then I have a tool called Proxy Tool, and it's just an add-on. It's down here. If we go here, we'll just say Proxy Tool for Firefox. You don't have to use proxies. You can, but for Firefox, let me just walk through this with you guys real quick. Proxy Tool, this is going to be it. Come on. I must have to reboot today because I've got some cache issues going on. Okay, add-ons. This is Proxy Tool for Firefox. This is just this bar that you see down here at the bottom. And it's, if you're using proxies and stuff, it's pretty cool. But if you don't, the reason why I use this is because if you come down and right click on that icon there, you'll see Remove Ever Cookie, which you click on that, and in a couple seconds you'll see a little box come up here. It says Ever Cookie are cleared, and then you remove Flash cookies, and then that will clear it out, and that'll give you a fresh, clean browser experience. From there, you can actually shut Firefox down and then use a tool like CCleaner. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with CCleaner. That's this here. And that's what I do. So like I'm always, because I got so many damn persona accounts, different Google accounts and stuff, I always have to clean out all, clear my browser of all cache and cookies. I shut it down, I run CCleaner, then I open it back up, and then I'll enable another proxy or a VPN if you guys are using VPNs, and then log back into the next account that I'm working in. So for the ATM, I just use my main IP. I don't use a proxy for the ATM, but like I'll just click on it here. But I just make sure that my browser's clean when I start doing stuff. And then, like I said, when you're logging into your site builds, guys, I recommend that you're not using Chrome for that, number one. Number two, if you're going to use Firefox, make sure that your default search engine is not Google. Set it to something else. Yahoo, Bing, Amazon, I don't care. Just set it to something other than Google. All right. Then again, just for those of you that might have come late, remove Google Fonts references. It's a plugin that you can add to your site. And that's the first thing I'm doing right now. Right as soon as I go into a site that's been deployed, a newly deployed site, to do the cleanup, the first thing I do is go to plugins, add new, then search for remove Google Fonts references. And then from there, I upload and activate. There are no settings. You just activate it. All right. And that clears that Google Fonts code from the header of the site. It gives them less ability to track what I'm doing. I tried Rank Spy, never really worked for me. Okay, guys, sorry for you. It works great for me. I've really uncovered some cherry search terms that I've gotten a lot of traffic from that way. It requires time though for that thing to run, and it is kind of slow. I don't like that, but I've done 3 columns. Okay, guys, hopefully it worked for you. Kevin, they're doing okay. I've only got 3 sites built in the Ring Partner stuff for walk-in tubs. I haven't had a chance to work on any of the others. I got too many damn projects going on, Kevin. Fortunately, I got too many projects going on, so I haven't been able to do any more than just the 3. They're making money. They're paying for my ATM. Let's put it that way. So let's see. All right, cool. Brian's here. If you use those keywords once per build and not over optimize them, you will certainly rank for at least 2 or 3 of them. Exactly. Brian's here. That's awesome, Brian, that you're here, man. Long time, buddy. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, as far as that, you know, like I said, that's why what I'm going to be doing going forward, guys, is when I'm going to have one test site with attached to the Search Console, and that's it. One test site to just identify if it's going to be a successful build or not, a successful piece of content, successful keyword configuration, you know what I mean? And if it is, if I start to see good results, my impressions climbing and my clicks climbing, then I'll duplicate that across multiple domains that are not connected to Search Console. All right. So, you know, in the past, I haven't had any trouble, but since all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, I've run into some trouble with that, I just switched it up. You know what I mean? And I'm still going to use, again, to me, the data that Search Console can uncover is almost as valuable as the traffic that these sites produce. So I'm still going to have at least one test site in every one of the industries that I'm building these sites out for to make sure that I have, you know, that it's a viable set of keywords and content, piece of content that I have that I can use over and over again, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, Greg, I think keto offer only does in the US for the time being, the keto offer. I don't think, I think they're in, I think January 1st, Greg, by the way, they're going to be going international, at least in like a handful of other countries. I'm sure the UK is one of them. So check it out next month if you'd like. Yeah, okay, cool. Brian and Don will be explaining why a lot of sites are being de-indexed. This will be starting tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. I will be there. Everyone else should be as well. I was using a Remove Google Fonts plugin, not sure which one, but it really slowed the sites down. The one that I'm using, Remove Google Fonts References, I have seen absolutely no difference, and I can't imagine how it would slow a site down when all it's doing is pulling some JavaScript out of the header. That's all it's supposed to do, right? It's not supposed to add any code. It's just supposed to remove code. So I can't imagine how it would slow anything down, Greg. But I don't know which plugin you were using. The one that I use hasn't had any effect on speed whatsoever. If anything, it should actually speed the site up just a hair, a couple milliseconds or something. Okay. So, all right, guys. Well, look, we're almost at the hour, and I don't see any other questions coming in. If you have any, post it very quickly because I'm going to wrap it up. I've got a million other projects as well. So, Greg says, I think it was removing the fonts on the fly. Possibly, Greg. I was going to talk to Dawn about, you know, since we have the child theme, since, you know, the ATM has the child theme coded, if it could remove the Google fonts from the child theme, I don't know if that would work or not, so that when we deploy the sites, it's already done. Or have that as one of the standard plugins that are installed when we deploy the sites, so that we don't even have to install it anymore. We still have to activate it, which means we'd still have to log in the initial time after deployment with the Google fonts in the header. But it would be nice to have it hard coded in. But if it's not, we could have that possibly have that plugin already installed, so that we don't even have to go search for it. We could just activate it. Okay. Please put the plugin link in Facebook and give it to Elizabeth to put in the form. Okay. I think I still have it up. This is it here. I just searched for it within the ATM, or excuse me, within the WordPress plugin dashboard when you're inside of WordPress. But here's the actual link. I'll post it here again, guys, and then I'll paste it inside the Facebook group as well, and I'll tag Elizabeth on it. So. Okay, I'll call you in just a minute, Brian. I'm glad to have you back, man. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for everybody being here. We'll see you guys next week. By the way, next week it's going to be an 8 p.m. webinar. I started a class that I am taking. I'm taking a class on Thursdays in the evenings from 6:30 to 7:30. So it'll be 8 o'clock from now on. When it's the evening webinar, it'll be 8 p.m. and we'll go from 8 to 9. So we'll see you guys next Thursday at 8 p.m. If you have any questions ahead of time, the events page is already set up for that. Post your questions there. If you have any specific training issues that you would like to see, post your request on that event page, which will give me time to prepare. Okay. We'll see you guys next week.